Over the last number of weeks, many taxi drivers were pushed off the pandemic unemployment payment. Many of them could have stayed on it, actually, and voluntarily signed off because their sector was recovering. And now their sector has gone over a cliff because of the nighttime curfew, because of the public health advice for people to reduce social contacts, because of the work at home provisions. Okay? And they're being offered nothing. Now, the taxi drivers have got it in the neck from the word go of this pandemic, and every measure that's taken impacts on their ability to live and make an income. It is not fair that they will be punished financially again and not get supports. So we need to give them back the support where they can earn a little bit, the little bit of work that's out there, but give them income support of the PUP sort. Precisely the same goes for the musicians, the entertainers, the people in events and the nighttime economy. It is not fair that yet again they get hit. They've been the longest affected, the worst hit, repeatedly hit, but they're denied the right to the pandemic unemployment payment. Indeed, when other business supports are maintained, the actual workers who depend on these supports, who are hit hardest, are hammered, and you're taking away their supports, and no indication that you intend to restore supports for them and other similar sectors, particularly hit by the latest round of public health measures.
And in terms of Deputy Boyd Barrett's questions in terms of income supports, again, as we reopen the economy, there's been a dramatic decrease in the number of people on pandemic unemployment payment. And I don't think people were pushed off it. I just think work came back in. The economy, we know from the returns in revenue terms that the economy has picked up very, very significantly throughout the summer, and thousands of people got back to work, which is a good thing. That's where people want to be. So the changes we've made in the last week, essentially we're bringing back the hours to 12, to midnight. So it's not ending any particular sector. Prior to this, intervention economically was when you moved from a level 3 to a level 5, or where you essentially closed down a sector or rendered it inoperable completely. Those were the triggers. And then there's other triggers in EWIS, and there's triggers in CRIS in terms of the close of a premises, for example. And so we are in a different phase of the pandemic. And the measures we adopted at the very first, in terms of restrictions and all of that, were necessitated by what we knew then about the virus and the level of vaccination and so on. Now we're in a fourth wave. It's a very transmissible variant. Right across Europe, there's very considerable concerns. People have adapted here, and that adaptation, in terms of reduced socialisation, is having an impact on certain sectors. I acknowledge that. The challenge for us will be, I think, to develop more bespoke models in terms of the broad brush approach that we would have used in earlier phases of the pandemic. And that's the approach we intend to take, and to assess the impact of the measures on specific sectors, be it the areas that you've identified, but also we've brought it back to midnight, and I wouldn't call it a curfew. In Holland, I think it's 7 or 8 o'clock at night. They've stopped all activity after 8 o'clock at night, but it does have an impact. I don't disagree with you there.